I think what we do as business analysts is taken for granted for the most part. And that's why, for me, it's important to stand out, not just for, to acknowledge and recognize the efforts that we make with our projects, but it's also for professional growth. But it starts with you because you have to be sold on, the impact, the value of the work that you're doing. It's not just that, okay, yes, you're on this project, or you've been hired by this company and you're getting paid. Yes, we understand that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's also that you're helping move and drive the organization forward.
Welcome to the Inside Business Analysis podcast. I'm your host, Tando Jacobs, and today I am joined with Dona Simpson. Dona, how are you doing today?
Very well, thank you. Super excited to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on. I am really, really excited for our conversation. I always see you active on LinkedIn, sharing so many gems on business analysis, and I'm excited to just pick your brain today and have a discussion around the world of business analysis and how we can stand out more as business analysts instead of hiding in the shadows. Now, Donna, you are a senior business analyst. Yeah, you got experience as a product owner, but you're also a coach and a mentor for business analysts as well. And so you effectively have been in this space for some time now. How has your journey been so far in the business analysis space?
Yeah, so it's been over 10 years since I took my business analysis training or boot camp. And it's been quite a journey. And the reason why I'm sharing so much of my experiences, now is because I find myself on the other side of what new business analysts and aspiring business analysts are currently experiencing. So I find a lot of joy in just sharing and, my experiences so that people can learn from them, or, the ones that work for them, they can, emulate them as well. So it's been quite a journey, and, I'm loving, being on this side right now. So yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great to hear. And I love that you acknowledging the fact that you are where you are now, and it's different from where you started off. And also that you've got some knowledge and experience and encouragement to pass down to those who are upcoming into this space of business analysis. So the topic of today, obviously, as we mentioned, is around how do we kind of stand out as business analysts in the field?
Yes.
Because we can be a quiet role almost. There is this, I don't know if you've heard of it. There is this kind of common phrase that I see coming up in articles and all sorts, which says that business analysts are the unsung heroes on projects, and I agree with it, but then at the same time, I'm like, why are we the unsung ones? Why do people not sing about us? And maybe it's because we're not doing enough to kind of make ourselves known. I don't know. But what do you think that's the case? Why do you think it's the situation that BAs are kind of seen as kind of this unsung hero? We do a lot of things, but then people don't sing praises about us on the other end.
Yeah, I agree that we're the unsung heroes, just like you mentioned. And for me, I find that one, because, I think what we do as business analysts is taken for granted for the most part. I remember way back before I became a business analyst, I heard, being a business analyst is being like a glorified secretary. You're taking notes.
Wow.
And yes, but it is far from that. It is far from that. We touch several parts. We are the ones that make sure that projects are moving smoothly. Yes, there might be a product owner or a project manager. Or a product manager, but the business analyst is working with the stakeholders. We're working with developers. We're working with technical teams. We're working with QA. So, we're touching all parts of the project. So how can we be we need to be recognized for that. We need to be recognized for that. But I find that, it's just taken for granted that, the business analyst is a business analyst, and that's who they are. They're the ones that, are in the background making sure everything works. And that's why, for me, it's important to stand out, not just for, to acknowledge and recognize the efforts that we make with our projects, but it's also for professional growth. So you absolutely can't stay in the background of a project. And in my experience and starting off as a business analyst, I was that person, head bent, just don't ask me any questions. I'm going to do my work. I'm going to make sure everything work smoothly. If there are any issues, I'm going to make sure I stay up late, do what I have to do to make sure that we get back on track.
You touched on some important points there about the importance of essentially not staying in the shadows and coming out into the light and being, effectively being vocal about the fact that, I'm here, this is the work that I'm doing. But there's an interesting thought around this, because I look back as well to when I started my role or my career as a business analyst, and I was so focused on doing the job really, really well. Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess
Yeah.
what I thought was, my beautiful BPMN process model that I've put in place, or the perfect user stories that I've written with the acceptance criteria clearly defined, would almost speak for itself. And I don't need to say more above that, right? I've done the work is there, everyone's happy, no one's complained about it, and I don't need to do any more. But it sounds like you're saying that's not enough.
No, that's not enough. You need to be part of a lot of conversations, not just the conversations that require, gathering your requirements or having conversations with developers. And when I think back to one of my managers who I'm so grateful for, she always pulled me into meetings with senior leaders, and she'll tell me, you don't even have to speak because I'll be terrified. She's like, just listen to the conversation, understand the context of what they're talking about, understand how this project impacts, everything else, like the goals for the organizational goals for the year, the roadmap, the vision for what the company, where the company is going. So being, having access to those type of meetings and keeping my camera on.
Okay.
My camera on. I have to emphasize that. And I'm also one person who didn't like to have my camera on way, way back. In 2016, 2017, I did. But I realized that if I wanted to, be visible and I wanted people to know me as a business analyst and the work that I was doing, I needed to have my camera on. So being asking, even if it's not like, so in my case, it was my manager that pushed me into showing up in these meetings. But it doesn't hurt to ask, can I be a part of this meeting to really get some context and understand, where we're going, how this project, what we're doing is going to impact, the stakeholders, the shareholders, the business itself, will this give me an idea of, how this project impacts other projects that are going on? So, having those, being able to ask the question and be able to support it with why you want to be part of those conversations or in those meetings.
Love that. I love that. And I will agree. Having the camera on does actually make a difference. It
Yeah.
feels like you're present in the room,
Yes.
even though everybody is verbally present, should I say? Just having that
Mm-hmm.
camera on and it feels like you're present in the room. But more powerfully than that, we are living in and working in a hybrid virtual environment these days. So we do need to be virtually present, not just physically anymore. But thinking about kind of this whole concept and looking, especially also looking back to, like you said, before you started to be a bit more visible, what do you think are the things that are holding people back from doing more than just kind of put your head down and do your job, but actually be visible? What are the kind of things that are holding people back, and how can we overcome them?
One is the first thing I'll say is lack of confidence. I am a reformed introvert, so I understand and it was a lot of it was, just keeping quiet. I have a bit of an accent, I don't want to, I don't want people to look at me and not understand what I'm saying. So the less I speak, the better. So for me, from my experience, it was, one is lack of confidence. The other one is not recognizing the importance of the work you do. Because if you were to recognize the importance of the work you do, then you would want people to know, this is what I've done. This is the impact it's going to have, and, recognize it. But it
Mm,
starts with
mm,
you because you have to be sold on, the impact, the value of the work that you're doing. It's not just that, okay, yes, you're on this project, or you've been hired by this company and you're getting paid. Yes, we understand that. But in the grand scheme of things, it's also that you're helping move and drive the organization forward. So recognizing that, so, one will be, I would say, lack of confidence. Two, not recognizing the value of the work that you're doing. And three, it might just be an oversight. It might just be an oversight, like in terms of, I'm doing my job, I'm doing what I have to do, and I don't really need to, wave the flag. I'm being compensated for it. So, I'm just doing what I have to do. So I'm just going to stay here. But when you have a vision for your career, for where you want to go, then all these things start to make sense and come together that, you need to be visible, even if it's not, even if you're not trying to grow within the organization. If, there's some organizations where you kind of look at things and you're like, the room for, growth here might not be where it needs to be. But if I can be visible here, I can get letters of recommendation. I can have these leaders, speak to their colleagues in other organizations about me, because we know that a lot of, as you get higher up, it's more of your interpersonal skills. It's more of who you know. It's more of your network. So those are the reasons why you want to make sure that you're visible and you're speaking up.
You hit the nail on the head there. I think all of those things I've faced myself, and I think everybody listening to this will put their hand up if they're honest enough and say, yeah, I feel shy, I feel timid, or I just don't fully understand how what I'm doing fits in with the wider picture, and then having that holistic perspective. But also that last point that you've made about, the honest truth and the reality is that there comes a point in your career, or particularly with opportunities or development, growth and things like that, where it's not necessarily how good you do the job, but just how good you are, how visible you are, really, if we're being completely honest. Because most of the times you do a very, very good job. And you do a very good job. But unfortunately, maybe 3 people know you do a very good job, and that's it, right? The other 30 around you have no idea the fact that you've spent hours on end solving this problem or helping the team to solve that solution. So I think that's a powerful point, and a lot of BAs maybe overlook that side of things because we're so focused on just kind of churning out the things that we need to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and another example that comes to mind is I worked for an organization that had a large BA community. So there were over 200 BAs within that organization, but we were working under different business units or work streams. And, I know this individual who was all over the place. He knew all the senior leaders. He had great conversations with them. He would volunteer. He was, even outside of the BA community, he was part of the social committee. So going to distribute like Easter eggs around Easter, he would have access to even senior leaders. When we had our BA community quarterly event, he was one of those that would, run the event and participate. And I noticed that, even when it came to the type of laptops we got, he got better laptops than we did. Yes. He got better laptops. He got better software on it. Back in, I want to say somewhere around 2017, 2018, this guy had started to talk to me about data lakes, BI, and he had all those software on his laptop. Us, the regular BAs, didn't have that. So I learned so much. I was so impressed when I noticed that his laptop was a higher quality. What strings did he have to pull, to make that happen? He was just a very personable, very friendly, had no qualms, speaking with senior leaders, and he volunteered a lot. There was a hackathon that we had. He was part of it. He ran it. So volunteering as well helps us to be visible as well, is what I want to say.
Yeah, no, very, very good point. And I love that. Some of them listening to this, I'm thinking, why would a laptop or software packages even matter? Trust me, it does. I remember I was working in an organization where you had to, part of we're looking at data stuff in Excel, and the laptops we had just couldn't hack it. And sometimes, that really does help. And talking about software, Some
Yes,
organizations are like, you can't have Visio, it's expensive. You can't have that
exactly.
software, it's expensive. So stick with
Exactly.
draw.io. And then you have that one
Exactly.
BA who just knew a way to
Yes.
circumvent that and get the thing
Yes.
that works for them, you know?
Exactly, exactly. I think I wrote on LinkedIn the other time, or I don't know if I posted it, how, because I love Visio so much, I love the enterprise version. And I had to justify why I needed the enterprise version because us BAs just had the standard Visio
Yep.
version. So, just those little things, just knowing who to speak with and just having a nice rapport will get you Visio Enterprise or any application or a better life.
Honestly. And it will make the powerful thing about this, though, it will then make your job so much easier because you're using the
Yes,
tools that are built for the thing that you're trying to do, as
yes,
opposed to like making things work with something that's half broken.
exactly.
So,
That's it. Yeah.
so in an environment where, say, for example, I'm the only business analyst, on
Yeah.
in my area, whatever that means, and I want to stand out. Maybe I haven't been doing much standing out because I've just been focused on making sure that the project is ticking along. What kind of tips would you have for somebody who's kind of a solo BA in their team or in working with on the projects that they're working in, and what could they do to start standing out effectively?
Yeah, I find that, there are pros to being the solo BA on a team because you get to set the precedent. You know, you
Mm,
set the bar high or low. We want to set it high though, so you get to set that precedent. You're pretty much the main person that, stakeholders are looking at to make sure that their requirements are well written, well documented, and really convey what they want. So if you find yourself in that position, I would say take advantage of it because you'll have access to tasks and responsibilities that if you were one of many BAs, you wouldn't have access to. So you find that you might be doing a little bit more outside of the scope of the business analyst. You might do a little bit of project management. I experienced that. You might do a little bit of vendor management. You might be the face of the company when it comes to speaking to vendors. So just really embrace all that and take it all in because that's experience that you're getting. But in terms of how to stand out within the organization, you want to make sure that you know what you're doing. You're following
mm,
the rules. You're doing things properly because you're setting that precedent for expanding that team if that happens in the future. So you want to make sure that you're really doing things well. And, again, people know that you're this person, you're the person to go to when it comes to, everything business analysis within that organization. So like I said, you just really want to just embrace it and see it as a good thing, as a positive thing and not negative.
yeah, yeah, totally love that. I love that point that you made about the fact that you're the one who's setting the standard. Really, you're setting the
Yes.
bar at this point, and
Yes.
you almost have the freedom. That gives you a freedom. I know it sounds scary, but
Yes.
it actually gives you the
Yes.
freedom to say, I want to be visible in these levels. I want to be visible in this way. I want to be able to do these things because you've got that flexibility.
Yes, yes.
Now,
I have an example. Sorry, I have an example of
yes,
that.
go for it.
So I joined an organization, solo BA, and I was asking, like, before I joined, what methodology the company used and if they were using Jira, because I absolutely love user stories. I prefer to write user stories over writing business requirements document. But if I have to write a business requirement document, I will. And I was
Mm,
told, the business analyst, we're going to do what you want to do. So if you want to use Jira,
wow.
we'll use Jira. If you want to document using business requirements document, writing a business requirements document, we'll do that. So you imagine.
Wow.
So just it goes back to the point that you were saying. So yeah, there's so much that you can do. It gives you the bandwidth to pretty much
Yeah.
run things the way you want to run them. So that's my
Love
example.
that. I love that. Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. I love that. And then you touched on this earlier that, you had a line manager who put you on game really with the senior stakeholders.
Yeah.
But let's just imagine that your line manager wasn't there. What sort of tactics could you have done to get yourself in those positions? And I'm thinking about that BA who's thinking, I'm on a tactical level at this point, but I really want to kind of go up, to be in contact and work with the decision makers. Really, how could I make that work, or even be visible at the very least, right? So that they know the work that I'm doing, and hopefully invite me to the table, if that makes sense. Any tactics that BS could then use to get invited or to get in that room.
Yeah. Build a rapport with a project sponsor. Have a very good relationship with a project sponsor, because the project sponsor is the person who has access to the senior leaders that you're gunning for, right? So make sure that your relationship with the project sponsor is good. And you can do this by, always collaborating with project sponsor, communicating properly. When you're sending out emails to the project sponsor, keep it high level, but make sure your communication is crisp. And also asking the question, how can I make this project run smoother and better and faster for you? Like asking the people who are leading the project, like, how else can you, support the project, outside of your role as a business analyst? Like, what, or how does my role impact, you, and how can I make your job easier? That is a question that you want to ask, even if it's your manager, even if it's the product manager you're working with, or the project manager, depending on the structure of the team. You always want to ask, like, how can I help you? How can I support you? But I would say that if you don't have somebody advocating for you, you want to try to hit the person that is like at the top of the echelon that you have access to, and build a rapport with them.
Yeah, yeah. Be of service, and effectively don't just ask, but have that value exchange going on there. That's powerful. That's powerful. So Donna, so there might be someone listening to this, and they're very encouraged. They're like, I'm so encouraged to take this step, but I'm scared. I've got all of these imposter syndromes. I'm feeling a little bit shy. I like to keep myself to myself. I don't want to talk too much in case I say the wrong thing. All of that good stuff. What would you say to that person who's thinking those thoughts at the minute?
Yeah, I will tell that person that it's normal. Doesn't make you less than who you are, and then start small. What is that small thing you could do today that gets you out of your comfort zone, or that even makes you visible? Just start small. And once you start to have thoughts around, moving past your fears, opportunities somehow, start to appear for you. So whether it's, somebody who was supposed to run a meeting had to be out of the office that day. You run that meeting. That's something small you can do. Just run that meeting and just get into that mindset of a leader and who you are, and it also comes down to trusting yourself. Trust yourself, trust what you know, trust the experiences that you've had, but just start small is what I would say. It's always good to start small, so one little step at a time will get you there.
Yeah, love that. I love that. And have you did touch on this earlier, but I'm curious to know, kind of thinking back in your career journey, what is it that kind of was the catalyst or became the thing that made you think to yourself, okay, I really need to stop being in the shadows and start being visible? What's your personal experience in this particular arena here?
Yeah, so my experience came from being in the same role for so many years. So I had been a senior business analyst level XYZ at this company. It was the highest level. And at that point, the next step was to be a business consultant, where it was, I think, if I were to explain it today, it was more of like a program manager. It was
Right.
called business consultant then, or you could also go and become a project manager. So I was trying to start, I had a conversation with my manager. This is not the manager that was pushing me forward. This is a different organization. And so I had a conversation that during my annual review that, I think that I've been in this role for 3 years, and I would like to, move into a different role. And, what's the career path? Because, a new career path had just been released. And she said, you know what, the climb is steep. And at this point, there's nothing for you here at this point, but
Ah,
something might occur later, but not right now, was pretty much what she said. So that was year one, my first time asking. Then the next year, same manager, going over my performance review, I reminded her again, I would like, to get into a different role. What's the path for me? What are my options? This time around, she said, remember what I told you? The climb is steep. You just don't go from, senior business analyst to a business consultant, blah, 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 blah. And so the second year went by. I started to think to myself, if I stay here, I'm going to hear this thing over and over again. And I noticed that some of my colleagues were moving up to other business units. So they were doing lateral moves and then moving up. So that's when I
wow.
realized that she doesn't really know, even though she's my manager, I have one on ones with her, she probably doesn't value the work that I'm doing because I'm pretty timid, I'm quiet. You know, she told me no. I went and waited another year. The next year I came back. So I'm like, I'm really not helping myself out here. And that's when I decided, one, to switch organizations and then and then to start to be more visible as a business analyst.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think that my key lesson that I'm taking away from that story that you shared is that you are going to be your own megaphone at the end of the day. You know, your line
Yes.
manager or your colleagues, they may be your, you may think they will kind of be your advocates, but really it's up to you to vocalize what you're doing and make yourself visible.
Yeah.
It's if you don't do it, no one else going to do it for you, I guess, in a
No.
nutshell. That's what I'm taking
Exactly.
away from
No.
that experience.
Exactly. You have to chart your own course. You absolutely have to chart that course for yourself.
Yeah. So, Donna, another thing that you do is obviously mentor new BAs. We touched this
Yes.
at the beginning of the conversation. How did you kind of start, and what's been that transition been like for you to kind of start looking back and lifting others up, so to speak?
Yeah, so I've always had like a side business, side hustle going on. And for about 7 years, I was a business coach supporting women who are building their business on the side. So I was doing that. And, I had clients here and there. And I was really like, my whole thing was really to support women who are building their business. And I became a mom and I was like, I don't really have too much time to do as much as I would like to do. But I'm a business analyst and I can help other business analysts. I can help other women as well. And there really isn't too much. I'm speaking from my experience. I can support them. And at some point, I'd written a course because my BA instructor had asked me to be a guest instructor. I had that course. It had been sitting down there for 8 years, not doing anything. And I pulled it out one day and I was like, you know what? I can really help people. People need to see this. And I do this in my 9 to 5. So the transition into doing this on the side, there was no learning curve for me. I'd taken a lot of coaching. I'm part of coaching courses, coaching programs. I've really, really learned the art of coaching and mentoring. And so this was something that I knew that I could do easily. And I don't know. I think I had another awakening, and I was like, yeah, business coaching is great, but you know what? I really want to help women. I really want to help others who are where I used to be, and I want to see them thrive. I want to see them excel. I want to see them handle their business analysis roles with calm and confidence. And so that's how I got into it.
Love that, love that, love that. Yes, yes, and such a powerful journey. 8 years of holding on to a course. That is
Yes.
That is a long time, but
Yeah.
I'm glad it's out. It's out, right? It's people can go to your course now and
Well,
learn it somewhere.
It's supposed to be on an audio. It's supposed to be an audio course, but my paid clients have access to it, at least right now. But my plan is
Awesome.
to eventually put it on as an audio course on a platform where people can have access to it.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. No, definitely do it. Definitely do it.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
people need this. Need a. There will be people who are where they are today, they will look at you and you would be that person that will help them. You know what I mean? So I think that's such a powerful thing to do. So definitely can't wait for that. Now,
Yeah.
Donna, it has been such a insightful, impactful, and visible conversation. I'm really, really happy that we had this conversation and that you agreed to be on the podcast. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank
Now,
you
a
for having
couple of
me.
questions before we come to an end. The first one for me is for people who would like to connect with you personally and maybe even learn more about, becoming a mentee of yours and all the rest of it, where is the best place for them to do that?
I am on LinkedIn. LinkedIn at Donna Simpson is where you'll find me consistently. You might stumble upon my TikToks or you might stumble upon my Instagram
Ooh.
page, but really LinkedIn is what works for me. And like I said, as someone who's an introvert or used to be, I just find that LinkedIn, just I say what I have to say, and then that's it. There's no having to produce like on Instagram, like it always felt like a production. On LinkedIn, I find sorry on TikTok, I find TikTok is not as like not as much of a production as Instagram, but I have to create time to batch videos. Whereas on LinkedIn, I just type in my text and I can engage that way. So I absolutely enjoy hanging out on LinkedIn.
Yep, I will put the link to your LinkedIn profile on the show notes of this episode. I completely agree with you. LinkedIn just feels natural as a place to create content. Instagram and TikTok are great, but you can find yourself feeling like it's another job almost, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, totally understand that front.
yeah,
Um, the the last question that I have for you, Donna,
yes.
is looking forward to another 10 years from now. Where do you see business analysis, and do you think we would be more visible outside of BAs and outside of kind of our immediate circle?
Yes, absolutely. Just looking at job descriptions today, a BA is doing a lot. There's the data analysis part of it, business intelligence. So the role of the BA is getting more robust. So there's no way that a BA in 10 years will not be visible. The BA in 10 years will have to be visible, will have to have, cutting edge skills, very in tune with technology and the direction in which technology is going, because that's going to be what is going to drive a lot of organizations is, following those times that we're in, digital innovations, artificial intelligence, business intelligence. So that's the direction. So yeah, so I think that in 10 years, we can't say that the role of the business analyst will be one that is in the background. I'm sure it's going to be very visible.
Yeah, great there, and love that insight. Well, once again, Don, I really, really want to appreciate your time, and I want to encourage you to keep going and keep helping people who are where you were, when you first started your journey, and that's their present reality. I'm sure there'll be people listening to this who are saying, oh my goodness, that conversation that you were talking about with your manager, that's exactly what I'm going through right now. And you can help them out of that situation. So, I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us your expertise, your experience, and just the gems and the tips of how we as business analysts can step out of the shadows, stop being the unsung heroes, and be more visible in our work. So thank you again for coming on.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.